Hello everyone, this is Dion Soul. I hope everyone is doing well. And as you see before you, we are looking at the BAE 146 here on the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform. And I picked it up over at JustFlight's website. It sells for $64.99. I happened to pick it up for $53 because I had some accrued, I guess you could say, loyalty points, along with I had got a 10% discount because I have the X-Plane 11 version. And because I have the X-Plane 11 version, that's why this video is going to be different than a lot of other videos, because I'm basically going to do call outs of differences between this product and the X-Plane 11 product. And so I thought I would, that would be my basically my own personal spin on this aircraft, because I own both flavors from both platforms. The TDLR of this aircraft in a short term is it worth $64.99. If you want the airplane, then it's going to be worth it to you. That's really the bottom line here, because it does have a lot of it has a lot to offer, but it still has shortcomings. The main, I will get it right out of the way at the first part of this whole video, is that the shortcomings right off the bat is the FMC, the flight management computer. The FMC is, I'm just not going to say it's trash, but it's just not very good. It's just not very detailed. It does not have enough features to be at the quality that it needs to be with a modern day flight simulation. The X-Plane 11 version of the FMC is far better as far as systems modeling inside the FMC, and because of that, on the X-Plane 11 version, you have the ability to have vertical navigation. VNav is available to you. Here on the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform, or at least with this particular airplane, you do not have that functionality. And when you're doing long flights, when you're doing FS airline flights going from Portland, Oregon down to San Diego, or San Diego to Texas, or whatever the case may be, to be able to generate that income for you to make money for your flight simulation group going those long distances. Uh, it's it's nice to have that vertical navigation. It helps out a lot. And unfortunately, on the X-Plane platform, we do have that capability. So I'm coming of it from that perspective, like, hey, I've already experienced this. Why don't you guys have it when you guys are both the same manufacturer of the same, 146? So that kind of thing was a letdown, but it's not a huge deal breaker. But I think the price point for it, with a broken FMC, in my personal opinion, is probably right around $49 price point instead of the $64 price point. But that's my personal opinion on it, because you just don't get the that FMC really does make a difference for you. But that shouldn't stop you if you just want the airplane just because you want the airplane, because the FMC, the way it is, still works, but again, doesn't work as robustly as the X-Plane 11 version. And that's kind of the theme of this video, is that you're going to see the pros and cons. I mean, the Microsoft Flight Simulator product that you see before you does have a lot of pros, and there's actually more features in this aircraft than there is in X-Plane. But where the features count is where X-Plane kind of shines a little bit better. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a walk around of this aircraft here and just talk about various things. And I will have timestamps in the description down below, because I know this is going to be a lengthy video with these pros and cons and comparisons. And what's in turn is going to make this video long, and you can just skip around at your so choosing. So then that way, I don't give you the pain, because I want you to enjoy this video, and definitely like, subscribe, and all that other happy stuff that us content creators say, because we would like to be able to get monetized one day. And that's that for me has been 5 years, and that ain't happening anytime soon. So Without further ado, let's go ahead and get serious here. The textures of the aircraft are awesome. I mean, there is no question about it. This aircraft texture count or textures actually looks, in my personal opinion, better than X-Plane in that regard. So I'm going to give that nod to Microsoft Flight Simulator with the texture quality. I just think it looks a lot better. The reason why we are actually sporting the PSA, which is Pacific Southwest Airlines, for back in the day, for those of you that don't know, is based out of San Diego, California, where I am from originally. So I have some kind of I have a softness in my heart for PSA Airlines because they were, when I was a child, that was their heyday back in the day, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Even though they started the airline back in 1949 in Lindbergh Field in San Diego back in the day. But anyway, so that's why we have the PSA livery. And another reason why is because I have been trying to paint this aircraft with my Solus Wings livery, and I have been having more troubles than it is worth. First off, there is one part of the paint kit, which this aircraft does not really have a paint kit. What it has is it has a texture. Just paint. Let me just say this way: just painting with Microsoft airplanes is just difficult, to say the least, for somebody like me who is very limited in skill set in painting the aircraft. I would rather fly the airplanes and paint the aircraft, but I would like to have my liveries. X-Plane 11 by far is far superior when it comes to painting aircraft. You just load up for the most part, you just load up things in GIMP, and then you just load up in GIMP and then paint away on an X-plane airplane, and then just save it as a PNG file, spit it out, and you're ready to rock and roll. And it all works, and it works fine. Here with the Microsoft Flight Simulator, especially with this aircraft right here, I've been having nothing but drama where it will not recognize. Like I tried to paint as an example, paint the engine's blue because my Solus Wings livery, as you see in my previous videos, all my engines are all blue, and of course I have my logos depicted on the doors, and of course I also have some decals and some graphics on the tail fin and whatnot, and U.S. flag, the normal standard stuff. And for some reason, when you modify the files here on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it just messes up and all goes to a weird purplish colored thing, and it messes all up. And so I've pretty much at this juncture here, I've given up for now on trying to paint the aircraft, and I'll just go with PSA going forward until I just revisit on trying to paint this and just basically walk away from it and then come back and try again at a later date. Whereas X-Plane, just get in it, go, and I'm on my way for the most part. I am dabbling into Blender, trying to use Blender to be able to paint the airplane as well, and that's not as it's not as complex as I thought it was. But basically, all it does is it allows you to put decals, where the modeling is based on the model files by using the converter to convert from format that Microsoft Flight Simulator recognizes into Blender, and then you save it accordingly, and then you basically take that layer and then you superimpose it onto a plain white wrapper that is provided by the developer of whatever aircraft it is, and then you got yourself your livery. But unfortunately for me, for some reason, GIMP is just not working with the Microsoft platform, so I've just given it up for now. So anyway, that's the woes and the cries with painting the aircraft. But as far as the fit and finish of the aircraft as a stock default, it is awesome. It's got a lot of shine to it. So it is as we say in Texas, it's very purdy. When I lived in Texas, it's a purdy airplane, and so we got no complaints there. And like I say, it's a little bit more detailed and more robust as far as texture quality than what X-Plane version is, but not much. I mean, a little bit better. a little bit better. So anyway, so let me go ahead and just spin this thing on around here, and then we'll go on side to really where all the meat and potatoes action is. And because like I say, the airplane is a cool airplane, and I'll continue to fly it, and you know I'll get my money's worth out of the airplane over time. So let me stop right here, and then I'll go ahead and we'll crawl into the aircraft. Alrighty, doors are now open, and we can go ahead and go on inside. If I can get my mouse to work here. There we go. There we go. Yeah, the moving around here with the drone cam is kind of kind of problematic for me, but I'll get by. So anyway, so here is the back of the, or here's, as we crawl inside the aircraft here is the back of the airplane right now, or the cabin side, where all the money's being made. So the details of the cabin here, where all the passengers is pretty cool, but it's not realistic for the BAE 100, because that's currently what we are sporting right now, is a BAE 100 a variant, and we have a total of 84 passenger seating arrangement right here. So you can see it's a 3x3 configuration. I believe on the X-Plane version, if I remember correctly, it was a 3x2, and it ended up being right around 80 or so, I believe it was, when it was all said and done, or some kind of configuration of that nature. It ended up being, like I say, a less configuration than here, and so I think this is more than what it should be. But I'm not tripping on that, because I am not back here long enough to be able to worry about it. But just be aware that this is kind of a little bit of artistic license that the developer did, because I think the BAE 100 is just a is an 80 passenger tops aircraft. The fit and finish of the interiors here looks nice from a distance, but when you get up close and personal with it, then it starts to degrade like crazy. X-Plane does the same thing, so there's no marks against that right there. But you can set up to be able to have your views all set up the way you want your views by just going over and let's say we want to put our view right here, and then just kind of zoom in just like normal, and then you can create a view and whatnot, that kind of thing. So that, which is pretty cool. All the doors here inside the simulation, because this is Microsoft Flight Simulator, it does things differently and does not allow you to be able to articulate doors in here. I'm considering this walk around mode. And doesn't allow you to do it. So these doors right here on the X-Plane platform in walk around mode, you can actually articulate the doors and open the doors and do a full realistic walk around of your aircraft, whereas here on the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform, if the developer doesn't set it up correctly, which JustFlight did not do, you cannot do a real walk around of the aircraft, other than using the drone cam, and it's just kind of like, it's, to be frankly blunt honest, it's half-ass. And you can see the textures here on the back wall here start to degrade as you get closer. Again, I'm not tripping on that, but it is just to be noted. X-Plane is the same way, but just not as bad. X-Plane has a better job of trying to give you that illusion that it in that regard looks better. Outside textures, obviously, Microsoft Flight Simulator just shines like crazy, but inside, that's where X-Plane kind of has a little bit of an edge, because everything is 3D modeled for the most part. I think on the X-Plane version, the overhead bins do not work either. So both simulators, the overhead bins do not work. With X-Plane 11, we are able to actually just open this door and then walk into the cabin, or walk into the cockpit. But here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator version of this aircraft, regrettably, you don't have that ability. You just have to just clip right through, because they did not 3D model this door right here, which is kind of a bummer. But like I say, it is what it is. Right off the bat, we'll go ahead and start right here. Here in the business side, here in the cockpit, right off the bat, we have the switch up here that basically turns on all the lights, as you can see right now. The reason why the lights are working right now, because I kind of did a little bit of a pre-flight already by turning on the GPU, the ground power unit, and then also getting power inside all the busing. So the so the tablet won't run out of battery. That's one thing they did model with the tablet, which I'll go more in depth in the tablet here in a few minutes. But if you leave the tablet on, it will run out of battery and die out. So there is a timeout for the tablet. At least that's been my experience so far, which is kind of cool because X-Plane doesn't do that. So that is a one-up for Microsoft Flight Simulator instead of X-Plane. Now here, starting out here in the back here, besides that switch right there, like I say, the X-Plane 11 version, I think the switch is actually labeled. I know that's a nitpicking type thing, like, Dion, you're going to nitpick about something not being labeled? Yeah, I am, because I'm paying the money for it. I'm paying the money for an aircraft. You expect to have some details. I mean, I got details right here. It says GPS nav cards, even though we don't have any cards, but still, at least that label is there. We don't have a label on that switch, whereas X-Plane we do, if I remember correctly. And of course, somebody and comment down below saying, "Hey, Dion, if you get something wrong, you're wrong about that, and just let me know, and I'll make a correction." Because you know what, I make mistakes, but because I'm basing everything off of my memory on this right here. As far as the radio panel is concerned, with this station right here, which would be considered the I guess the jump seat station right here, I am surprised there's not a jack for the headphone jacks for the jump seat station. Maybe they're just either it wasn't modeled or maybe it just doesn't exist. I don't know, but I don't see any jacks, even on the pedestal here. We got a couple over here, but I don't see any jacks here for the the headphones for the jump seat crew member. But anyway, so like I say, in the Microsoft or in the X-Plane 11 version, this right here is modeled, and all the buttons and dials and stuff works. Here on the Microsoft Flight Simulator version, it does not. Here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator version, we have the mask here modeled for the jump seat occupant, but it does not. You can't run the test. So the testing part does not work. With the X-Plane 11 version, I don't even remember if there's even a mask even here, but I know for a fact there is a radio here, and the radio does work in X-Plane. So good, bad, and different, whatever. I mean, that's kind of a wash because they have one thing where they don't have on the other. Jumping over here into the window right here on the co-pilot side of things, it does not articulate, so you can't give the fuel person your credit card information so you can pay for the fuel. So you can leave a comment below and tell me what movie that was. So for that joke. As far as but X-Plane doesn't open the doors either, so that's a wash. It's not a big deal, but it'd be nice to have that modeled. That'd be pretty cool. The smoke mask, glasses, all that sort of thing. This little compartment here for emergency equipment is not modeled. It's not modeled in X-Plane either. So no big deal there. The articulating the amount of flow of heat or cooling, which is what these sliders do. This works here in Microsoft Flight Simulator along with X-Plane, so they both function and they both work right there. So which is pretty cool. One thing that I was surprised, that I was not expecting, because in X-Plane we do not have that, and that is a window shade. So we got this window shade here, and you can take it, you can slide it around, which is pretty darn cool. This is something that I was not expecting, so this is a big plus to the Microsoft Flight Simulator version, is that because this is something I did not expect, and that was kind of like, oh wow, that was kind of cool. Now you cannot articulate it forward or backward. You don't have that ability, but all you do is just click on it, and it just puts it back away in its storage compartment, which fine, whatever, that's fine. But still, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool to be able to find something like, hey, wow, that's pretty neat. The oxygen system right here on the co-pilot side, all the buttons and dials here work, which is pretty cool. X-Plane does as well, but it doesn't function the same. It's got, I think this, I think if you turn one off, this turns them both off right here. This just turns one off. So the manipulation on how this works is a little different in the X-Plane than it does here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but they both work. So so tip their hands to that. For that working. Now, something that X-Plane does not work, but in Microsoft Flight Simulator does work, is if you want to test your oxygen mask, you can click on it and you can see the little animation graphic here and the sound. That's something that does not happen in X-Plane, so that would be kind of cool if X-Plane would get that update. And basically, that's what you're going to find in this video, is that basically JustFlight learned from all the trials and tribulations of what they learned from installing or from making the X-Plane 11 first, and then they took what the lessons learned and then they incorporated them here into Microsoft. So that's why we have in some instances more features than what X-Plane has. Swig of water for the working man. Which is cool, which is cool. You can articulate the glare shield lights, and what you can here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can here in X-Plane as well. So nothing really to write home to mom about, other than the fact it's cool that it's being articulated and working. The stand right here, you can put out your coffee cup holder right here, and because of how large that coffee mug helper, that's big enough to actually have a 7-Eleven Big Gulp or a small thermos. So it'd be kind of cool for a third-party developer, or hey, if JustFly wants to take up the mantle. Actually put like a little donut in right here, which basically it's like a downsized type donut thing, and then actually put a 7-Eleven coffee cup in here, or a Starbucks, or a Seattle's Best, or whatever, and then you would basically would have a you left click on a pop-up menu here, and then you can basically whatever beverage of your choice is would actually populate inside here. I think that'd be something for a third party to do. I kind of doubt JustFly would ever do that sort of thing. I would challenge them to do it, but I don't think they'll ever do it. So if there's no money to be made in it, then they're not going to do it. That's just pretty much how business works when you make these airplanes. If we can't make any money at it, then we're just not going to do it. And unfortunately, that's just some of these things would be kind of nice to be able to have inside the sim for that role-playing immersion factor type scenario. And then, of course, you can turn this on and off to be able to get access to the radio panel that you see right here. Radio panel works exactly the same as the X-Plane 11 version, so there's nothing really to talk about. I do have a review of the X-Plane 11 version of this back in the day when I bought the X-Plane 11 version a year and a half ago. So if you'd like to get some more details about it, as far as what buttons work and whatnot, you can check out that video. But the TDLR is that, yeah, the X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator, it works the same, so it's not a big deal. Now, what is different here that is different in X-Plane that's different here in Microsoft is that in X-Plane, when you click on the base of the yoke stand goes away. You just click on this and then it will just go away instantly. In order for you to accomplish the same task here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform, you have to go over here to the pull for pedestal. So this right here basically is usually for the pedestal where you can slide your feet back and forth. If you're a long, tall person or a short person like me, you would want to bring these things up. So they're just basically taking advantage of this to be able to hide the yoke when necessary, to be able to look at the avionics, that kind of thing. So it's a good way of doing it. I mean, that's fine, like whatever. But like I say again, X-Plane, the way X-Plane works is you just click on the base and then it goes away that way. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that in order for you to get access to the co-pilot's tablet, you would click on this little information card right here, and then of course it brings up the information. It brings up the tablet right here for us to be able to use. And so that's how you're able to get the tablet here for the. And then of course you can click on the corners and left click and drag, and you can move it around. How you see fit, which is cool. I like that. I don't remember and you can tilt it, and you can do all kinds of things with it if you need to. And if you can't get it back, then you just reset it if you need to. But anyway, so that's how you can articulate this thing around, which is pretty neat. That's pretty good. As far as the glare shield itself and the instrument panels down here, this is exactly the same as X-Plane, so there isn't really anything to really talk about this. It's exactly the same setup. So it could be a whole video in itself talking about the throttle management computer, and that's what this is right here. But the short version is that basically you would put in your what your temperature is outside, which let's say is 22 to 26 degrees, 25 degrees right there. You would power it up. I think I have to have other powers on in order for me to power this up. But if I powered it up, then it would give you a numerical value of what your N1 or N2 limiter is, and after you press the word takeoff, and then it would automatically adjust for you, or would note what that is. Usually that runs between 90 and about 97 or so. At the very most is 97%. Usually I've seen it more times than not when I've been flying the airplane. It's been between 92 and 97 is usually about as far as it goes. At least, but it's based on temperature too. So, and you can also determine by the exhaust temperatures as well. And so you could set it up where if you want it at 800, you just set this over here at 800 degrees Celsius, and then what it would do, 840 I think is what it is, right? Yeah, I think it's 840. 840 is the exact max, and then you would set this at 840, and then it would limit the the engines to where it'd only be 840, and you would do that across the board. Now, what's interesting is that when you have the power on, at least for this thing right here, you can see that we have temperatures now. Before, when you turn it on, all the temperature for the probes inside the engines are zeroed out with a red, card, obscuring the numerical values. But because like I said, I pre-turned on, did a little bit of a pre-flight here so I wouldn't lose power. It's actually gave me the probe of what the temperature is, and that's exactly what X-Plane does. So in theory, you don't really have to. If you don't want to, you don't have to rely on the outside temperature one right here. As you can see, this is electric instead of mechanical because it's currently not on right now, unless it has something to do with the pitot tubes. But I don't think so. It shouldn't be. So this right here should be mechanical, and instead assuming it's electric along with these, and because of that, it's not giving us any reading right now. But 15 degrees Celsius is what it probably is right now out there, and so you would set the 15 degrees, with the reference, and then it would give you the N2 number to be able to set your limitations accordingly, and that's how that works. For a short way of saying it. So that is pretty much the size of that there, I think. Before we move on, I'll go ahead and put that back. As far as the overhead is concerned, right here, this is exactly the same as X-Plane, and which means that all of the buttons and knobs and dials all work here, which is really cool, which is something that is unique in Microsoft Flight Simulator right now. X-Plane is rapidly becoming standard, where a developer would make sure that all the buttons, knobs, and dials work before they release a product. That's just the way the ecosystem is on X-Plane. Here on Microsoft, because Asobo put forward with a limited amount of buttons, knobs, and dials to work, so i.e. study level or near study level aircraft. We're starting to slowly get that here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so it is good to see that all the buttons, knobs, and dials work, and they all work just fine with no issues. And it would make this video go extremely longer if I described what all these buttons and knobs, dials all work. So we will skip that today. As far as the breakers up on top here, the breakers are not modeled, and I think the reason why the breakers are not models, for obvious reasons. It would be very time consuming, and it would probably break the airplane, and they'd have to do a lot of R&D and testing to be able to get all those circuit breakers to work to have a true study level flight model, or excuse me, add-on. And so that's why none of those are, I'm assuming, that's why none of those have been modeled, which is fine. I'm not tripping on that because I know that would take a lot of work to do that. And they're, again, if they're not getting a reward for it, then they're not going to waste their time to do some development time with it. So that is that side of the cockpit right there. Nothing really jumps out at me other than I want to talk about the jump seat. And the reason why the jump seat is, I'm giving it some airtime here, is because in X-Plane, this little button right here is what actually controls the jump seat, that slides the jump seat out. Here on the and also too, because of that. Also, on the X-Plane 11 version, these rails don't go all the way out. They stay compact within the footprint inside of where it's the jump seat is stowed, and so that kind of breaks the immersion on the X-Plane side of things a little bit, and not having this come out. And because of this scenario here on the Microsoft, you can come out all the way, and then boom, it sets up to be more realistic than the X-Plane 11 version does. Which is a bummer, but it is what it is. That's what the development decisions were made, and that's just how they did it. And so this little button right here on the Microsoft is what brings it out and automatically locks it for you, and then slides it all back. X-Plane, you click on this button here, it unlocks it, and then you try to pull it out, but you can't pull it out to actually lock it. So it just kind of freewheels and never really does anything. So I just put it back and never use jump seat in X-Plane, because it's just, from a role playing experience, it's not fully functional like it is here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. As far as articulating the seats here in Microsoft Flight Simulator compared to X-Plane, the armrest, you just click anywhere on the armrest and the armrest goes up and down. With X-Plane, you actually have to hit the actual button, the actual hit click spot or hit box is actually embedded into the actual switch itself, and then when you unlock it, you just hear the unlocking sound, and then you have to left click and drag with your mouse to be able to get it to come up. And that's kind of standard operating procedure, SOP, for X-Plane as a general rule, because Karen Auto does the same exact thing with their airplanes. You have to left click and drag to be able to get the to get the armrest to go up. Let's see. In X-Plane, to be able to articulate the seats, and of course we'll make the same. This will count for the pilot seat as well. But right here, where I'm circling right now with the mouse, is where you would articulate the seat in an X-plane. But here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, it is right down here instead is where you would articulate the seat, and you can just hold and then you just move it over anywhere you want, or you can just do it a little bit at a time, and as you do it a little bit at a time, as you can see, the lever is articulating, which is pretty cool. You know, that's pretty impressive. I like that. So I will give a nod to the team over at Microsoft, or not Microsoft, but JustFlight for making that a little bit better than what X-Plane does. Again, lesson learned from the X-Plane unit, and they're applying their lessons learned here in the Microsoft version. So Microsoft's reaping rewards from that. Over here on the co-pilot or the pilot side of things, everything here is exactly the same in X-Plane, except for the X-Plane, your oxygen. You can turn on the oxygen here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. In X-Plane, you can't. So that's something that with the X-Plane one is not modeled, and of course the shield. You know, moving the shield and whatnot, we don't have that in X-Plane, whereas here in Microsoft we do. And of course the window does not articulate. Again, same as what I said before. The fire extinguisher in place. I guess this is a specific type of fire extinguisher because it's not red for general purpose firefighting. It's a green one, which I think means that means something else. I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. My knowledge in what fire retardants work with different types of fires, I don't know. It's not my thing. I don't know those sort of things. The oxygen mask here also works here on this side as well. X-Plane 11, I think it's got the oxygen mask model, but does not do any animations. It's just there. You know, so you know it is what it is with that. The radio panel here on the pilot side is exactly the same as X-Plane, except for one difference, and that is the headset. In X-Plane, you have an audible tone that when you click on it with your left mouse button, it actually takes the audio sounds of the cockpit and makes them quieter to give you that illusion that you are you know, that you have a set of headphones on, which is pretty cool. You know, I'll take that. And here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, we don't have that. Is that a deal breaker? No, but just, you know, just one of those little detail things that you notice when you you know, when you own both products. And so that's just, you know, good, bad, and different. You know, maybe give a nod to X-Plane on that one, I guess. Now, one thing that Microsoft Flight Simulator does that X-Plane does not do is, as you can see right now, as I'm moving my controller here, you know, my alpha throttle yoke, alpha yoke honeycomb is moving. But what's cool is that here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you click on the microphone right here, or whatever this is, I'm assuming it's a microphone, you click on it. Okay, you probably heard it a little bit, but now I have actually got a gust lock. It actually locked it. So it's got some form of a gust lock that actually locks your pitch and your roll controls. So now you no longer have those controls, which is pretty cool. You know, I was not expecting that. So that's one of those ones where I was not expecting that. So, you know, it was kind of cool to discover that on your own. Like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, that kind of thing. So that's what you do, is you click on the microphone or whatever this is, and then it just locks it, and then you can unlock it. And then also, if you go like this and then lock it, there. Now it's going to stay. It'll stay crooked. And of course, you can hide it and then bring it back. And of course, the same thing with the over here on this side with the information card for our for that as well. And I can't think of anything else other than doing the talking about the well, we can talk about the pedestal real quick. Pedestal exactly the same as in X-Plane. No differences here. You just have your normal standard stuff as far as manipulation on your uh, yaw dampeners, and you're activating and deactivating your autopilot, pitch trim, all these other things. All this is exactly the same as X-Plane. So nothing to talk about there, other than it just works the same. And of course, you saw earlier at the start of the video, I think if I can get it back out, yeah, there's your cup holder right there. That kind of thing. I think X-Plane has a cup holder. I've never really checked it to see. So I guess we're at the point now where we can start talking about and of course you got your cup holder here as well, which we already had that discussion, so it works just fine. We could talk about the tablet, because the tablet is quite a bit different than X-Plane. I will say that, and so there's a lot to go over here with this tablet. Alrighty, tablet time. So as you can see, this is what you get when you fire up the tablet, and which is pretty nice. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's a lot more robust tablet, or let me say it this way: the workflows with this tablet configuration, or the way this tablet is configured, that JustFlight has done here with Microsoft Flight Simulator, the workflow is a lot better than the X-Plane. What X-Plane does, basically, the X-Plane version is you just have your aircraft page that you see. Like we have the same, we have an aircraft page here too, but you just have the aircraft page, and then all the other stuff, whether it be map or getting your stuff from SimBrief and pulling up charts and everything else, is going to be reliant on a plug-in called AviTab. And an AviTab on the on the X-Plane platform is widely used. And so basically what JustFly/Tharunda did on the X-Plane is they just incorporated the AviTab into into their tablet for the X-Plane platform, and then you just have a little icon right up here on the top right hand corner or left hand corner up here, that you would just click on it, and you basically would switch between the aircraft the aircraft page and the AviTab functionality is what it would do. And as you can see, we are running version 1.2 for this version of the aircraft, and as of the 4th of May of 2022. So that's that's where we're at right now with that. Alrighty, over here on the OFB or OFP as in Paul page is your page where you would actually enter your SimBrief pilot ID, and then once you put in your SimPilot brief ID, then you're able to get access to various things in SimBrief. When you did your pre-flight and you set up a flight, you're going to go from point A to point B. It gives you all your fuel calculations and all your stuff. It would come up into here, and that's how that works. And the reason why I got the Microsoft logo over that is because that's where my number is, and I don't want you to see my number. Okay, this is a job that I did day before yesterday, and going from KPDX, which is Portland, down to San Diego, for FS Airlines, which FS Airlines, the aircraft does work in FS Airlines. I haven't, it works just fine. It recognizes the data as long as you have, was it 7 to IPC or UIP, not UIPC, but I forgot what it's called. But anyway, you have that plug-in, and then you're able to use it. I was frantically looking over here to see if I can find it real quick, what it's called. But it was 7 or F7 UIPC or whatever. But anyway, so you have that plug-in installed, and then you're in your community folder. Then it'll allow you to be able to transfer information between different third-party apps to the simulation. And SimBrief is no exception. And so it transfers it, or I'm sorry, FS Airlines is no exception, and it gets its data from, FS Airlines gets its data from the airplane via that FUIPC thing. But anyway, so that's the overall of the SimBrief stuff, the SimBrief information, and then you can click over on Output, and then it gives you a raw, which normally you'd be a PDF, but it gives you that data right there, and then you can scroll down by clicking right below the to give you all the information you need regarding your flight and whatnot, which is pretty cool. It doesn't allow you to be able to left click on the on this little slider and then just scroll right down, because like that's what I'm doing right now. I'm holding down the left mouse button and trying to drag down, and it won't do it. You have to just click on it, and then click on it above it or below it in order for it to move, to scroll around. A bit of an inconvenience, but not too big of a deal. It's not that big of a thing. Okay, over here on map is self-explanatory. As you're flying along, you got the map. They're basically using the same map source as NaviTab does, provided by that open topicalmap.org. So nothing special there. Zoom in, zoom out, that kind of thing. It doesn't give you any overlays, like your flight plan does not overlay onto this, which is kind of a bummer. I wish it would. But AviTab is the same way. It doesn't overlap your flight plan. It'd be kind of cool if whatever your flight plan was, it would automatically overlay into it. That'd be awesome, but it doesn't do it. Charts wise, if you log into charts, basically what it does is, we're not going to do it right now, or if I'll do it off camera real quick. Alrighty, off camera, every time that you load at least it's been my personal experience so far, every time you load the sim, what happens is that you have to initialize the tablet in order for it to be able to access your Navigraph charts, count, and be able to put in, like right now we're over here at KWJF, and if I click on KWJF, it's going to ping the servers, and then it's just going to look, so Gen Fox, which is absolutely right, and then it's going to look and see what's available. Basically just RNAV 24 and runway 6, and then the taxiway information. No SIDS, no stars, none of that stuff, because I'm in a smaller airport. But you can bring up some charting stuff, which is what you see right here, which in this case is going to be if I was going to do some taxiing action going on here. And you can left click and mouse to move around your chart here to make it so you can see it better and whatnot, which is pretty cool. I like that. And so you can get your Navigraph charts right here, and then you get all your charts for your flight plan, and then just put them all in here and set them all up and be them all ready to go. And then you can just, you can work off this tablet with your charts and whatnot, which is fabulous. Of course, NaviTab does the same thing. It does it differently, but it does it the same time. So, but like I say again, with this tablet set up here on Microsoft, it's a better workflow, in my personal opinion, than it is with the X-Plane. The X-Plane seems to be more cumbersome in my personal opinion, whereas this one right here is just more fluid, more, like I say, a better workflow. And then as far as notes go, we'll come back to the aircraft one. Notes, if you're flying online and you need to be able to write down what the air traffic controller is telling you when you're online, you can just type all that information in right here if you want to, or do what most people do and just get a pen and paper and just write it down, because usually a pen and paper is faster than trying to type and correct your spelling errors and everything else. So you just faster just to do your shorthand on a pen and paper. But the developer did give you this notepad, basically is what this is, for you to add, whatever, hi, it's me, Mario. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So, which is pretty cool. Settings, it's just, you can just set the settings of your preferences and how you want this tablet to be displayed and whatnot. And based on your, if it's dark outside, you might want to have a dark, theme or a light theme, depending on certain situations and whatnot. So which is kind of cool. And the buttons are kind of self-explanatory. Now over here, this is where it's really, well, it's not really different, but it's different than what the X-Plane version is. Right off the bat, what's different that really just stares at you in the face is two things. One is the fact that here on the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform, we have auxiliary fuel tanks. And in the X-Plane version of this aircraft, we do not have auxiliary fuel tanks. So this information, obviously in X-Plane, is not here. So I'm kind of bewildered on why here this version of the aircraft has, or why we have it here in Microsoft we have auxiliary fuel tanks, whereas in X-Plane we don't. I don't know, but that's just the way it is. Um, you have states here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, whereas in X-Plane we do not have states. Your state is either, if you start in, just of course also the same in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you start, either on a ramp, and then it's all cold and dark automatically, unless you actually have your engines turned on in your setting up menu. Before you start your airplane, or before you load your airplane, if you say all engines are running, then of course you'll have your engines running. But if not, then of course you're always going to be in a cold and dark state with X-Plane. Whereas here we have the ability to do cold and dark, ready for takeoff and turnaround mode, which is convenient. I mean, that's cool and whatnot, but usually I'm a cold and dark state situation anyway. So. And then the announcements are the same. They're actually the same announcement files as,
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
The cabin crew have been released to begin their service, but please note that the seatbelt signs are still on. Cabin crew, arm doors and cross-check. Cabin crew, doors to manual and cross-check.
So, like I say, those are the same as in the X-Plane version. Nothing special there. Here, in X-Plane, we have a menu over here that actually brings some of these up along with other things. But instead, here in Microsoft, everything is done inside the tablet. Good, bad, and different doesn't really matter. But here is where you can actually, you can have a co-pilot and pilot installed. You can have your interior cabin installed or not installed. It's your choosing there. Auxiliary fuel tanks, if you want them installed or not installed, that kind of thing. High gain or high frequency antenna, where you have those antennas strung between the fuselage and the tail, that kind of thing, which is kind of cool. I always have that turned on. Saving states is another big one. I don't think X-Plane has saving states. That gives you the ability to be able to, whatever you left the aircraft, wherever you left the aircraft from your previous flight, that's the way it's going to be when you start the next flight. That's what the states are. That is a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing is it disciplines you to be a little bit more thorough on shutting down. But if you're not, it's a hindrance, because then you end up getting penalized for it by something went wrong, or you run out of battery, or whatever the case may be. Navigation, you turn that off. So now we are basically going to be doing slant whiskey, I believe is what they call it. So it's just VOR to VOR navigation, and even navigation only. So in my personal opinion, there's absolutely no reason, because they have this thing right here installed. They know they can do it. There's absolutely no reason why they could not have the PMS 5 GTN 750 add-on modeled here in here. Now, people make the argument saying, well, that's because they never had them installed in in the aircraft during its run. Back in the day, the 750s were never installed in here, and that's true. And I will give everybody that makes that argument, I concede that argument. But we're in a simulation, for crying out loud. We're trying to make these real as possible, but we'd like to be able to take advantage of what we can. And if you have the PTM5 or PMS5 plug-in, there's no reason why they just couldn't model it and put it in. So I think it's just going to take an outcry from the community to say, hey, can you guys please put this in, or somebody third party step up the plate and just make it happen, so you can actually have the GTN 750 installed. Because the GTN 750, in my personal opinion, I like it better than the standard FMS. I think the standard FMS, it doesn't give you as much information, and I just think it would be better served if we got the GTN 750, the PMS GTN 750 installed into this aircraft. It would just make things better for us as the pilots of this aircraft if they would put it in. and to basically counter the argument, people saying, well, it was never installed, and you're right again, but but there is people saying that there was some variants of this aircraft later on after the life cycle of the airplane is passed, and people have, they went to smaller roles like firefighting and whatnot. Some of the some of those groups actually put in the GTN 750 in those aircraft. So there is real world aircraft that do have the GTN 750s in there. It just depends on what that aircraft's role is. And I would love to be able to have the GTN 750 in here. That would just make things a lot easier. We still have the vertical navigation issue, whether it be the GTN 750 or not, or with this one with the FMS. Now, granted, if they put a custom FMC or FMC in here and make it as robust as the X-Plane 11 version, then I would concede and say, okay, then you don't need the GTN 750. But right now, we would actually benefit by having the GTN 750 installed, and you have a little bit better, more control, i.e. also more information coming at us that we can use to better pilot the aircraft if we have the GTN 750 installed. So I don't expect it to ever happen, but it would be nice if it would. That's why this airplane, in my personal opinion, until they get this vertical navigation situation ironed out here in Microsoft, I think this airplane, with even all the pluses that this airplane and all these features that this airplane has to offer, I feel, in my personal opinion, is still going to be second fiddle to the X-Plane 11 version, because having that vertical navigation and being able to calculate your fuel and everything else is so much more for the user overall experience flying this airplane on the X-Plane. It just far makes it better. And even though this has got better eye candy, but as far as functionality, the FMC is just way leaps, a warp speed leaps and bounds ahead of this FMC, which is a shame, because they knew going in when they were designing this aircraft that now, granted, what I'm telling you right now can all be squashed if in the next release of this aircraft or in future releases that they are going to put a custom FMC that does exactly everything that the X-Plane counterpart does. Then, of course, this argument is no longer in play. It's a mute subject. But until that happens, it's still going to make this airplane be second fiddle to the X-Plane version as far as navigation is concerned. It is what it is. So anyway, that actually you got a twofer there. We got the overall of the of this tablet here. Having a brain fry, which we call this damn thing. You call it a tablet. That's what you call it, Dion. So this tablet here, you get overall the tablet, and then you also got a little bit on the of the FMS. Because like I say, the FMS is just it's just blah. It's just there. It gets you from point A to point B. It's just one step better than me having to actually put in all of the waypoints via VOR, and that's basically it, and it does follow, your procedures, your departures and your arrivals. It does do that, but it does not do vertical navigation to bring the aircraft down to follow the flight path vertically down to on final, where you can intercept the localizer and actually bring it on home for your not necessarily auto land, but bring it down to where you're almost ready to land, and you just take over at the last 1,000 feet or so, and then just hand land the aircraft from there on in, that kind of thing. Whereas the X-Plane 11 version, it does it all. And matter of fact, on a little side note with X-Plane 11, Tharunda / JustFlight did not lock out the auto throttle with the X-Plane 11 version. So if you are a smart person like me on some things, you can actually bind a key on my Bravo honeycomb Bravo throttle quadrant, where I can actually turn on the auto throttle, and it'll actually work, and it'll actually control through the full duration of the flight, from takeoff to land, or once you get in cruise at least. You just turn on the auto throttle, and it'll automatically adjust your throttle to keep you safe and sane while you get up to go to the bathroom or go make yourself something to eat, because you're on a 4-hour flight, and you don't have a co-pilot because it's just you flying, and so you got that option available to you. Now, some people are going to make the argument saying, well, Dion, you can just go over here to your assistant buddy, and then your assistant buddy can take over the duties while you're doing those same things. And yes, you could make that argument, but in the X-Plane platform, that's because they have that auto throttle open. You're able to take advantage of it, and it really makes things a lot more convenient by having the auto throttle active. But you have to look for it. I had to look for it to find it. I ran across it one day. I'm just sitting there looking through all of X-Plane's key bind settings, and then I saw, hey, here's an auto throttle. So I bind it to the keys, and sure enough, the model worked. So which was pretty damn cool. So anyway, that's pretty much my review of this aircraft here. I can't really think of anything more to say about this aircraft other than the fact that overall the aircraft is a good product, and I'm not telling you that not to buy it. I would say if you like this type of an aircraft, and if you like being a bus driver, an air bus driver, a glorified bus driver, then this airplane is just fine, especially when you're going into less than 3,000 foot, or right around 34, I should say less than 4,000 foot strips. You can land this airplane on a 3,800 foot strip, depending on how much weight you have in the aircraft. If you have too much weight, then obviously you can't. But if you're light duty, you can. As I'm burping to death here, apologize for that. You can land this airplane in short strips, which opens the road on more places for you to fly this airplane into. I will say that as I said in one of my texts that I did, I was texting somebody, is on a YouTube video, that this airplane, it floats forever. If you just put down just 18 degrees of flaps, this thing will just float forever and ever and ever. And if you're at idle, this thing does not want to come down. So I am in the process of learning how to be able to, or relearning, I should say, to be able to be more. My airmanship needs to go up. Let me just say it that way. My airmanship right now for this airplane sucks. I float the hell out of this airplane. I'm halfway down the runway before I finally touch down, and then I am hammering on the brakes and putting out all the speed brakes and everything else, trying to stop this thing before I run off the runway into the dirt. And it's just something that I will get over time. I'll get better over time. But for right now, as of this recording, yeah, I'm struggling with that right now. That's just the way it is. I'll get it, because I was getting pretty proficient with the X-Plane version when I was flying the aircraft. And the problem is applying to the same thing. I'm just rusty. I just haven't flown this airplane a while until the Microsoft Flight Simulator 1 dropped, and then now I'm back into it, and so I'm trying to relearn, or trying to judge myself when to come around and be at the right spot at the right time, so I can control my landings better. And I'll get it over time. So it is what it is. Lastly here, because I didn't get into it, but I need to talk about it, which is it's going to be kind of off track, but I got to bring it up because I just noticed it. I should have did this at the start, but I wasn't thinking about it, and so now I saw it, and I thought, okay, I guess I better talk about it. With the GPU, the ground power unit is definitely more detailed here on the Microsoft Flight Simulator platform than it is on X-Plane. On X-Plane, it is blue. We don't have the louvers and the door like you see here. JustFlight has actually done a better job in modeling the ground power unit. I know this is just a small little thing, but again, attention to detail. That's what, that's the theme of this video anyway, pretty much. And what I like about this is, see, the X-Plane 11 version is, like I say again, it's blue, which is fine, but it's just a big box. Here you see you got the beveled inward, or the bevel on the top right there, which gives you that little bit more characteristics of the ground power unit. And also you can see the tires are a little bit more detailed. They are shiny where they look like they've never been used, and I get that, and that's a lot what Microsoft Flight Simulator does. It looks like it's a brand spanking new one that they just took off they just got off the factory floor. But yeah, it looks all nice and shiny and pretty and brand new. Whereas the X-Plane version, it just looks dull. It doesn't really jump out at you where it just looks, it doesn't look that pretty. It doesn't look that pretty. And then also, too, the X-Plane 11 version does not have the heat blur like you see. I think JustFlight kind of went a little bit overboard on the heat blur. I think that should be toned down a little bit. I don't know if there's a numerical value that they can just adjust to turn that down a little bit. I think it's a little bit overkill, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. And then lastly, this little door right here. I know this is a very small thing, but it's a thing that I did notice. On the X-Plane platform, the door, it doesn't look 3D rendered like you see here. Here it looks like the plug that's plugging into the side of the aircraft is plugging into a space that is indent into the fuselage. So JustFlight did a good job with this particular model to be able to give you that illusion of 3D where that's indented, and so it looks like it's plugged in and indented. Now, one thing I noticed right now is you see that looks like I know it looks like right here, this looks like this might be a light that should be illuminated right now to signify that, yeah, this aircraft is plugged in and it's getting power. So this right here, if this is an indicator light, it should be illuminated right now to indicate that, yeah, or that the switch is turned on up at the up on the overhead inside in the cockpit, signifying that, hey, if you unplug this, that's going to shut down the airplane because it's giving power to the airplane, or something of that nature. That indicator light should be illuminated to indicate that, hey, the system is working, so don't just arbitrarily unplug it, because you're going to get electrical spark of the voltage draw and the amperage draw that's currently being fed into the aircraft from the GPU. So having that illuminated would be helpful. Not mandatory, but I just noticed that, and that'd be something that would be worth worth pursuing. As far as the color of the cord itself, I don't know. I'm not really too concerned about the cord, but it looks cool and all. It looks good. But like I say, the detail and just in the little door right there, that's pretty nice. That's very nice. They did a good job in that. They did a lot better job than the X-Plane version. So now I could say that probably this is done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and post this video as my review and my comparison video between X-Plane 11 and Microsoft. And then we will go from there, or I'll just do a quick little walkthrough with the X-Plane 11 version, just so you have a visual illustration to see, yep, these are the differences. So anyway, so I will see you. I'll probably do that because this video is up to an hour, so why not? Let's go 2 hours. Why the hell not? So let me pause this, and then I will be right back, and we'll be in X-Plane. Okay, we are back, and as you can see, we are looking at my Solus Wings livery as opposed to the PSA livery, because we are in X-Plane. And that's the advantage I have with X-Plane than Microsoft Flight Simulator, is the fact that I'm able to paint my airplanes and not have any headaches because of it. So anyway, what I wanted to note, jump into what I want to note about the differences is, as you can see right here, the you know, the GPU is quite a bit different than the Microsoft Flight Simulator version. To me, again, I mean, this doesn't look bad. It just looks older. Just it doesn't look as you know, new and fresh, and it just looks a little bit older, even though it's supposed to be new because you can see some things shine, but it just looks different than what the one in Microsoft Flight Simulator is, and it's fine. You know, it's okay, but it's a box, you know, as opposed to what the other one is, and we don't have the heat, you know, the heat blur like we have in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you have this little bitty light standard thing here with the red. I don't know what all that means, but whatever. And the big thing right here is like you see right here, how they're trying to make it look like it's, you know, 3D perspective, but it's just not quite as good as, in my opinion, as the Microsoft Flight Simulator version. I think this right here just doesn't look as good. But you know, all in all, I mean, the paint scheme is all right. It's more dull than Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's got that dull appearance, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, at least I could put my own livery in here and have my own Solus wings and actually fly with, you know, I have my Solus wings. When you can see right over here, it's just that, and that's basically what the model is. The model just looks more dull than Microsoft does. And that could be because this is X-Plane 10, which is older, and Microsoft Flight Simulator is newer, and so they have some different technology to make everything look shiny and glossy and sheen and everything else. Whereas here in X-Plane, it's more rough and dirty, and you know, we're here to work and we're not here to play, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, so that's a difference that you would see here on the Microsoft or on the X-Plane platform as opposed to the Microsoft X-Plane platform. You know, with Microsoft Flight Simulator, I mean, this, like I say again, it looks like it's got a white film over all of the textures. That's a descriptive word that I could say. If you look at this right here, that's what it looks like. It looks like it's just got a white, milky film that's just over the texture and not giving it that richness. That's about the only word I could describe. You know, but it doesn't matter. It still flies fine. I still have just as a hard time to land this airplane as I do the Microsoft Flight Simulator version until I can get better at it. You know, it is what it is. But with X-Plane, I can go over here and I can actually click on it and actually open some things. Microsoft Flight Simulator, we don't have that ability. We don't have that ability to be able just to walk around anywhere I want to at will. This is where X-Plane, I feel, has more freedom than what Microsoft Flight Simulator has. Now, I can't open the, there is no hitbox to be able to open the, at least I don't think there is. I don't see any hitbox to be able to, you know, I just opened something that's inside, that was inside the cabin. I just did. So that's why we have this little bitty thing right here, or you can bring this up and then bring out the stairs this way if it'll come out. And there it comes out. See, I wish X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Simulator would do this. Yeah, they could do this, but you're not here to witness it. And you'd be able to walk right on in. Open up this door if we want to. Now, I was mistaken. I thought this was a 2x2, you know, configuration, seating configuration, but it's a 3, but it starts to drop off down here. It'll switch to instead of 3 all the way across. These in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you notice that this was 3, this was 3, and this was 3. Here we don't have, here these are 2, and then we had the 2 in the back, which gave us 84 passengers on the Microsoft version. Here, because we lost one here and one here, we lost 2, so we're down to 82 passengers here, I believe. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we lost 4 passengers, so we're down to 80. here on the X-Plane version as opposed to Microsoft Flight Simulator. But you can click on these and open this all up, and you can see the texture quality here when we were talking about it over on the Microsoft Flight Simulator side of things. You can see how these kind of degrade as well. And after looking at it, it looks like they're about the same. I don't think there's a difference there. So, you know, it is what it is on that regard. And we can come on over here. I believe we can have a hitbox here to be able to open up this. Maybe not. Maybe, nope, I guess not. So I guess you have to rely on the cargos to be able to open those up. But you just have a little bit more freedom and functionality in some respects with X-Plane, whereas Microsoft Flight Simulator you don't, but then you have other features with Microsoft Flight Simulator that you don't here in X-Plane. So that's why I say pretty much it is a wash. I'm not going to sit here and say that one one add-on is better than the other. You just have different things to do different stuff. You know, just like right here. I mean, I have a door. I can click on this this door right here. Of course, the hitbox is not right here, but the hitbox is on the other side. I have to clip in it right here, but on this side, I have the door to be able to open. So if I'm going out of the cabin, outside, I got the door. I got the hitbox. But I don't have the hitbox here on the other side, which is kind of weird. Or no, I guess it's at the wrong spot. That's what it is. I have to mouse over to over here to be able to get the hitbox. So, you know, little things. And like I say, over here again with X-Plane, this works. Whereas the Microsoft Flight Simulator one does not, and you can adjust them accordingly. You know, you can take this right here, turn them on, and then just turn them up. Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't do it. Not that big of a deal, but still. Whereas in the same way here, this is a little bit better modeled in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Whereas here, it doesn't. You don't even see the protrusion of the mask or anything. Let's go ahead and close this up so we don't have to hear the internal sounds. And then as far as the doors and stuff like that we talked about earlier, same right here. Don't have the shields that we talked about before. They're put away. They're stowed away right here. It doesn't exist here in X-Plane. You can, I believe, you could do the. See, the way it works is that you actually have to left click and drag with X-Plane. Left click and drag, whereas with Microsoft Flight Simulator, you just click on it with a hitbox and it automatically comes out for you. Now you see right here they modeled the protrusion of the mask, but you still and I was incorrect. Okay, I was wrong. I didn't know they have the. So my mistake. I learned something new. I didn't know they had that. Okay, never mind. But what about over here? Turn this on. See this right here, let's see what this does. Yeah, see this doesn't do anything here in X-Plane. But you can turn it on and off. And of course I have a mod, so if I want to refill it, I'll just go over here to Flying with Lua, and then go over here to my portable oxygen thing, and then I can just I can fill it up. You can see how I can fill it up here and put some more. Of course, this is a mod, to be able to make that work like that. So, and then you click on right here to bring up your tablet. And then if you want to close it, you click on this to close your tablet out. This right here doesn't close, I don't think. No, it does not. And then, like I say, if you want to get rid of this, you click on the base here, And if you want to bring up the tablet, you have to go over here. And then as far as AviTab is concerned, this is where you jump over. You have to have the AviTab plug-in installed right here, and then it would automatically switch over between AviTab and and the regular. And as you can see right here, I don't have the ability to add the auxiliary fuel tanks. We don't have auxiliary fuel tanks in this in this model here on the X-Plane platform, which is kind of a bummer. And you can see the announcements. You can reset the announcements.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
The cabin crew have been released to begin their service. Cabin crew, arm doors and cross-check. Cabin crew, doors to manual and cross-check.
So same stuff, but you don't have the states where you have, with Microsoft you do. So, and then you pull the, you don't have a, if you pull this right here, it doesn't bring this back. So that's a little bit different. And you can see the shading and everything else, obviously, because we're an X-plane, is going to be different. And you don't have a gust lock right here. See here, it's moving and a grooving, and you don't have the gust lock. At least I'm not seeing it. See, that's what these are right here. They're not gust locks. Now let's see if this one right here does it too. Of course, now I just lost my my mount. There we go. Now I got it back. Yeah, see, this one right here doesn't work, but the other one over there works. Go figure, I don't know why. Why would you have the one work over there, but then you don't have it work over here? I don't see a hitbox for your testing of your. Weird, Just weird. And if you want to get rid of it, get rid of this. And you see, you can't get rid of this. It's permanently fixed here, so you just kind of move this out to be able to get access to your other stuff. And if you want to test these, you can test them. And here, I don't have it set up, but it would, make the sounds quieter. And then this right here does not work either, which is kind of a bummer. You're an X-plane like I was talking about earlier. So this is a quick overview, and like I say, all these buttons, knobs, and dials all work except for the, those none of those work right there. But all this works the same on both. The big deal is this right here, because this one right here with the right here, this is so much better. You get more information. You just got more stuff to do, and maybe they will fix this over time. If I put in my reference airport, KWJF, and at the well, I hit the wrong spot. Okay, sorry, hit the wrong spot. Got it. There. And then hit it. Usually it would pop up. I know why it won't pop up. Because let me make sure that I have all these on. All on. Yeah, everything should be on. I'll get a lot of power here in just a second. But like I say again, all this stuff works. Let's turn on the fans, get some fan action going on here. Beacon, navigation light, doom boom. Automatic. Fans will leave alone. And our APU is low, so that means I gotta turn that on, right? Yep. So now that's all on. And we are pretty much set and ready to go. And there's our GPS location right there. K, W, J, F. Did I do type it in wrong? Or because I had the other thing in there? That's probably what it was. K, W, J, F. Boom. To K, A, B, Q. Boom. Flight number SW 1966. Or 1666, huh? Okay, we'll do that. 1666. Activate. Boom. And then departure. It's just going to be runway 24, let's say. And then arrival. We will put in probably 3. So we'll do that one. Zune. Let's do 3. Oh, they want St. John's transition. Okay, we'll do St. John's transition instead. That's fine. Route. And then we can just put in our route. You come over here, we prefer our performance index. We can just put that in right there. And then our flight level, let's make it 330. See, this right here you don't put in on the Microsoft Flight Simulator side. Cost index, we'll just put in 55. And reserves, we'll go 1.5. And our step size, we'll make it 2,000. Not 20,000. 2,000. Boom. And boom, takeoff. Flaps will be 1.8. And then we'll just click on those. And it says we need 17,000. Plan is 17,000 pounds of fuel. So I got to go over here. Get rid of these. Go back over here. Or we'll just go over here in the X-plane and we'll just put in 17,000 pounds of fuel. Actually, let's zero it out and start over. 17,000. And our payload weight, let's say we're going to go, if I go 16,000, I think will be too much, right? Oh, no, we'll be close. And there you go. Now let's see if this may have changed now. We're still short by 300 pounds. No comm link. We don't have that. And we have a discontinuity. So we'll go boop, boop, boop. Fix that discontinuity. Any others? Nope. And then let's go ahead and just put in on our, we already did our departure, right? Oops, that's arrival. Departure 24. So we're good there. Route. Next. And then let's see if we can put it before it. Let's see if we can put PMD. And that's going to go up here. May not work because I put in the, I may have to put in the other first. Or did I spell it wrong? I don't think I spelled it wrong. No, I spelled it right. Because if I put PMD right here, see, that's going to be wrong. I had to have, so I'd have to have gotten rid of my departure or approach first. But anyway, so you guys get the idea. And if I just want to get rid of everything, just go down here to menu, initialize, and then it just destroyed everything. And so now I can redo it and start fresh. And we're back to where we was. I did not talk about the the radar, because the radar is the same with both of them. The radar here and radar there are the same, so there's no difference in that. So I'm not really tripping on that. Our temperature is 25-ish or so degrees Celsius. So let's come over here, 25, turn this on, do our quick test. Let it do its quick test thing. It's almost done. Okay, and then I hit takeoff, and because based on that, we're going to have 92. So we would go over here, we would just click on this takeoff right here, and then it puts everything in for us all in one shot, which is convenient. And so we are set and ready to go on that regard. And I'd have to redo the this right here, but I'm not going to do it now. But I could. But anyway, so that's the X-Plane 11 version. It's, like I say, it's different than the Microsoft Flight Simulator version, but really makes this one sell. What makes this one really a strong selling point is the fact that that you can one, you can paint the airplane. Two, you got a better FMC than the Microsoft version. Quality of the paint is not as good as Microsoft Flight Simulator, or at least I'm not doing as good a job. And of course, Microsoft Flight Simulator, you got more eye candy out here. Here, I have to put in my my orthos in order for me to get some eye candy. But overall, it's a wash. It's which one you want is going to be the one that you fly. It's not that big a deal. You just bounce between the two. You'll get enjoyment out of both of them. It won't really matter that much. So, but anyway, guys, again, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Definitely like, subscribe, and all that things that everybody says. And next video, I'll probably do a flight. I just don't know which one. Should I leave me in the comments down below? Do you want me to do an X-Plane flight in the BAE 146, or do you want me to do it in the Microsoft Flight Simulator? Because I have both. Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys take care. Catch you guys next time. Later, guys. Bye.